Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today's special guest is Madeleine Rouse. Madeleine, how are you?
Doing great. Excited to be here.
You know what's weird is obviously you mentioned this on let's just call it a pre-show, that there's another Maddie, and then there was this other woman that I interviewed. I got her first name, dang it, but her last name is
Melanie?
Rouse. No, her last name is Rouse as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
I was like,
Fun
so I got a little
connections.
confused at first. And I was like, this Maddie? I don't know what's going on. Anyways, so it's interesting because you run with, is it Pegasus or do you run with the Sloths or both or
The
what?
sloths.
Okay,
Primarily
the
the
Sloths.
sloths.
Got it. And I know you run with some folks that we know. And I know finally I reached out and here you are. And I know you're doing some awesome things. So I can't wait to talk more.
Yeah, it's great to be great, a little intimidating and scary to be on the other side, not just like listening for fun. So hopefully I don't say anything too stupid. Hopefully I say something your listeners haven't heard before, possibly, and keep people entertained when they're out on a run or driving in the car or wherever they're listening.
Wherever they get their podcast. Some people listen to it or watch it on YouTube. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, I was reading something today, as a matter of fact, and the most watched podcast is on YouTube, not Apple or even listened to. So that's not on my podcast yet. YouTube hardly get anything. So
You'll get there. Yeah, all the podcasts now are basically YouTube interviews.
yeah,
What is this medium now? Pick a
yeah,
lane.
that's
That's
right.
everything.
So we're on all of the podcast stuff, but Madeline, let's get started. Tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got started with running and where it began.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm the only person who didn't get started running through soccer. I actually never played soccer. I think mostly because my parents didn't want to wake up early on a Saturday. That might have been number one reason. But number two, I'm just painfully uncoordinated in every area of my life. So never played soccer. Growing up, I figure skated, I rode horses, and swimming was my other big sport. I pretty much did like none of the typical sports
Like figure
that would have been
skating, you have
useful
to be
later.
you'd have to have
Well,
some coordination,
that's why I didn't go very far because I was not coordinated. Now, I'm also not flexible at all, which would then serve me in good stead running because runners not really known for their flexibility.
not at
So it
all.
ended up paying off down the road. But yeah, I
Okay.
remember because when you figure skate, you have to take ballet, and I was so horrible because my poor teacher was trying to get me to even approach a split, and just was never going to happen. So I guess the first time I remember thinking that running was like a thing is it wasn't the presidential fitness test. It was later than that. It might have been sixth or seventh grade, but they had us run laps around the parking lot. And that was like the mile time trial. And I somehow won. And everyone had been thinking that the girls who played soccer would win. And I beat them. And I was so proud of
Wow.
myself. But
Wow.
then I went on to like never run again for a long time. So it was a completely wasted
But that
opportunity.
you truly went to the beginning then. It's
Yeah.
like
Way
I
back in
ran
the day.
once.
This
I
is quite
ran
the journey.
once, ran a mile, one, and never
I
ran
ran 1
again
mile once,
until I was
never ran
30
again.
or whatever.
I think I did one semester trying out the track team in middle school also, but track was not at the time like the cool thing to do. And it conflicted for my group of friends, it conflicted with the play. So I ended up doing the play instead. So I think I went to maybe a couple track practices and being intimidated by people going really that fast. And then none of my other friends did it. So I obviously wasn't an option because when you're a middle school girl, you have to do what your friends are doing. So
You have to. Fun and
have to.
play. That doesn't even sound like I was in play as well, all the way from 8th
Yeah.
grade to 12th. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're a
Um,
theater kid.
yeah. So I did running like cross country but I wasn't really extremely fast, but yeah, I loved it. So that's interesting.
Yeah, most of my friends were of the theater kid variety. And again, I wasn't very good. I was just along for the ride and only did it for a couple years. But then in
Oh,
high
fun.
school, I went to boarding school and everyone had to do a sport every season.
Oh,
There was no option not to do a sport. And I remember the fall sports, it was like soccer and field hockey that everyone was doing. I picked field hockey where you would run. So I just ran up and down the field, not even approaching the ball most of the time because, again, not coordinated.
and you're in high
Like
school
everyone
by
was,
then. So you should
yeah.
at least know to go after the puck or whatever it is.
Yeah, I knew what I was supposed to be doing and then I just did not do it whatsoever, but I was great at just running aimlessly up and down the field. So I could look really busy even if I was accomplishing
It
very little.
reminds me of a kid, right? You put them into soccer and they just run aimlessly across the field, back and forth. They're not even going to the ball.
Totally.
They don't even care. They're just running.
Me on 15, at 15 on, because I wasn't even good enough for JV field hockey. I was on thirds, like the rung below JV. So
Oh,
me at 15 on thirds, the thirds field hockey team, I was approximately the same level, skill level as like a 3-year-old on a soccer team. So that was me.
that's great.
Yeah. So senior year rolls around and I got tired of half-assing really poor field hockey playing. And I decided on a whim to try out for the cross country team. And again, they had us do a mile time trial. And in that one, I came in second. And the coach was like, "Where have you been? Like, you could have
Exactly.
been doing
Gotcha.
this the whole time." So that kind of got me into running in a more serious kind of way. I started doing it. I remember distinctly the first time there was a spare Sunday and I didn't have anything else going on. So I decided to go out for a run. And I had no watch at that time because the coach timed you. And so I didn't even have a watch. I had no way of knowing what I was doing. And I just ran aimlessly for an hour. And then I went home and I mapped out, got on my laptop and mapped out how far that was just based on my memory of the route. And I was like, wow, I ran 7 miles. That's so far. Like it
Yeah.
just blew my mind.
Especially in high school.
Yeah, but I remember that was a really enjoyable hour. I should do that more often outside of practice. So that kind of got me into it as something where I realized I could be pretty good at this if I put effort into it and tried. But again, it's just one season of cross country. That was my sole awareness of running. And there were girls on the
Paid
team
up.
who'd been doing it longer, who knew more about how to train, and the coach was doing her best, but I wasn't. I was not taking it any kind of seriously at that point. It was
Did
just
you do
fun.
well or what? I mean, did you beat in most of your teammates still or?
I did. I was always like the second girl on the team. Although my other distinct memory from that experience, I had the highest of highs and then the lowest of lows, which was getting to our like league championship. And I went in with very high expectations for myself. But again, I was so new to this that I didn't have like spikes of any kind. And this was like a low pressure situation. So the coach had not advised me on what shoes to get on any kind of gear. So we show up and it's like December in New England. It had snowed. And I just
Wow.
remember going off the line. I took 3 steps and I wiped out immediately because I was trying to run across a snowy field in like regular shoes. And so that day was horrible. Like not a
Wow.
fond memory whatsoever. Although I do still have the t-shirt from that championships from like
Did you
2004
finish
because
at least or get back up and start running again?
and one day maybe I'll go scouring the depths of the internet and try to see if they had a time from that because I'm sure it was like a 30-minute, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because I kept wiping out, I kept falling. It
Oh, you
was
did.
horrendous. Grit. You got to stick to it. You got to finish the race.
At least you finished the race. Even if
At
you got
least
dead
I finished the
last.
race.
I
Yes.
didn't get last, did you?
I didn't quite get DFL, but I blocked
Yeah.
out so much of the rest of the day that maybe I did for all I know. Couldn't tell
I'm
you.
sure the coach wasn't happy with you. Or did
Well,
he
she was
care?
a very sweet woman. Actually, I saw her. I was just back on campus for our 20-year reunion and we had a very long chat. She's still there. She's still coaching.
Wow.
She's wonderful. So no, she did not give me any kind of hard time. So thank you, Mrs. Bryant. Shout out, Mrs. Bryant.
Yes, thanks, Mrs. Bryant. All right, so you finished high school, to get a little bit into running, and so what happened then?
I ran all summer and at home. It turns out the route that I had always run around my neighborhood equated to a 5K basically. And again, I still had no watch. I still was not tracking this in any kind of way, but I would go on mapmyrun.com, which I'm pretty sure still exists.
Still there.
Yeah, and I would do the route I did, and it came out to be about a 5K. So I had just got in my head that was like every night I would go run that same loop. And I did that for the rest of the year. And then in college, I didn't run in college. So long story short, but I was on the crew team in college. I was the coxswain for the men's heavyweight crew team. So I ran for exercise because when you're the coxswain, you're just sitting there, you're basically dead weight. You yourself don't have to do any cardio, but and I wasn't doing what the guys were doing in winter training or their afternoons when they're lifting. Like they always like to see that their coxswain was putting in some effort, that they just weren't bumming around. And so I ran for exercise in college, and my school had a really good cross country team. Like their cross country team was great when I was there. So I would always like try to tag on to the back of their pack when they were training or running their loops around. So I basically just ran for exercise all through college and knew that I could.
What did you go to college?
I went to Barnard College. It's the women's college at Columbia. So in New York
Okay.
City.
What?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
So I was running all around New York for a long time, and it was
How
a
awesome.
great place to run, obviously. But
Yeah.
Again, I wish I had any idea what was going on around me or any kind of serious awareness. Cause even after college, like I ran all the time in Central Park and I had no idea that you could even run professionally as like a distance runner. So I'm sure I was running with a lot of celebrities in the running world and I would have had no idea who they were.
So you were just running on your own and you weren't like going to races, you were running with the community, you wasn't doing it, you weren't doing anything like that? Or
No, I'm so weird. The first race I ever did was the Staten Island half marathon. That was literally the first race that I ever paid for and signed up to do because I couldn't tell you how I ended up with a half marathon versus a 5K. Just couldn't tell you. I think in my head, I was like, well, if I'm going to pay to run, which is something I do every day for free. So if I'm paying for this thing now, I'm going to make it longer.
that is
Yeah,
right.
I did the Staten Island half marathon. I don't think I'd ever run longer than 7 miles to that point. I didn't know that training was a thing. I would either go out and run like 30, 40 minutes, or I would try to push it to an hour. And the hour was my like really intense long run.
It makes sense, right? You don't know anything and you probably
We're just
learned a little bit.
eyeballing it here.
Yeah, we all did
We're
that.
just winging it.
Why not just go run a 10K every day for 7 days straight and try to go faster every day?
Exactly. Why not?
Well, that's what I used to do. I was like, I'm running as fast as I can every day.
Yeah.
So
Easy days, harder days, workouts. What are those? Like
I didn't know.
you get past the point when the run itself is just the workout and then you start incorporating actual workouts and it becomes mind blowing to think about and hard to explain to people because to most people, the run is the workout. So if you tell
Yeah.
someone it's an easy run day, like, does not compute.
Well, just say it's really
Yeah.
difficult to, if you're spending, and not to get completely off, I promise you'll bring it back around,
I
but
love a good tangent. They're my favorite.
good. When you start running 40, 50, whatever miles a week, and you start incorporating like weights or core stuff or whatever, geez, that's a lot of stuff. You got to run and do weights and do core. But eventually you do. Or if you don't, then you get injured a lot easier. And runners don't really do that a lot because we are spending a lot of time running. Oh, it's hard.
You start folding it. I think I was lucky in that I always liked it and I was already always motivated to do it because I was always in some form of athletics. So it was just like part of the day. If you're going to exercise as part of the day. It's a non-negotiable. It just depends on what it is. But yeah, it's hard. You have to love it. And then you have to love it enough to incorporate all the extras like the lifting or the recovery or the core or whatever. And again, I love it a lot, but not quite that much to incorporate all those things. Maybe one day when there are more hours in the day. But
Exactly.
yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
So you ran this half marathon. Do you remember what time you got and how you felt?
I know it was under 140. It was like 130. I could
Damn.
probably look it up on New York Road Runners, but I remember that's when I realized like, because I looked at the overall rankings and looked at where most other people were finishing and was like, actually, that's pretty fast, just
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. That was another time when that hit me like, oh, that was pretty good. I should probably keep going with this and do more of it. And I think that's where I always like the half marathon distance because it's
Yeah. Same.
just long enough to really hurt. It's still not like a marathon. So it's a less of a time commitment to train for, to do. The
100%.
logistics are less intimidating, all of that.
Completely agree. I think that, I've done a few marathons and I remember it was 10 years ago was my last marathon, like official marathon. And my wife was like, you're mad every time you're training and every time you're trying to get to that marathon. Why aren't you even running a marathon? You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to. And I was like, I don't know why when she said that. I was like, yeah, I don't have to run a marathon. So I never ran an official marathon again after that third one. I was like, yep, that I'm just going to do half marathons or I've done 20 milers, I've done 50Ks and stuff like that. But that marathon, for whatever reason, the training and everything else just, it got to me because I was like, I want to run a 320 and I've got to train for that. I've got to do all the things and run 30 or 60, 70 miles a week. And it just didn't like it. I was always angry about it. And so I stopped.
Yeah.
But
Somebody always
anyways,
says that on every one of our runs. Somebody will be like, none of us have to be doing this.
exactly.
Nobody has to do this.
It's hard. Once you start getting into a community, though, there's a little bit of FOMO. There's a little, hey, that's my friends now, especially since you've built the relationships with them and I'm going to keep going. And maybe you really like it. I don't know. But that's a good thing, though. That's why you build that community is because it pushes you to be a little bit better. And I think that's important. All right. So you did this half marathon. Sorry about the tangent again.
No, I love a tangent.
And so you kept going. You thought, hey, I'm pretty good at this.
I started doing more of the New York Roadrunner races, although I was always a little conflicted about them just because New York Roadrunners is such a behemoth and it's its own like universe. And I've never been someone who I love running because there's not a lot of hoopla and logistics around it. Like anyone, all you need is a pair of shoes. People run barefoot. You may not even need the shoes. Just go out of your house and put one foot in front of another.
I
And
mean, I
that's
don't
what I love
recommend
about
that.
running.
But yeah.
No, I wouldn't recommend it either.
Have you tried it? By the way, have you ever tried it once or twice? I mean,
No, I
it
have not.
works.
I have never tried it, except accidentally if I happen to be barefoot and have to run after something. But I would, again, yeah, not recommend it. Don't
I
enjoy
thought
it.
when I first started running, so this is like I was doing some runs and stuff like that, and barefoot running was the big thing back then, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, shit, like I'm gonna go try this once or twice and see. And so I tried a mile, and I was like, I couldn't run again for another 2 or 3 days because my feet hurt. I had blisters. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. That
No.
sucked.
Remember what were the toe shoes,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Vibrams or something?
yeah.
There was a guy I know in college who became obsessed with them, and that was became like his whole identity. Like whenever he ran for cardio, he would wear those, and everyone made merciless fun of him for it. I thought, will never be me. I'm not going to be that person.
Yeah, me either. And I know a guy that does it today, and he seems to like it. He doesn't do it for any kind of recognition or anything. He just likes it. And I'm like, I don't know, that man, no way. But all right, so got on tangent again. But yeah,
I wish, like looking back on it now, I was in my days in Manhattan. Happy hour was a much bigger part of my life than it is
mhm,
now for obvious reasons. Yeah, I mean, I look back on that now and I really regret how much I could have been doing if I, number one, knew about it, number two, had the wherewithal to tell myself
yeah.
not to go out to a happy hour on a Tuesday. Like I could have been waking
That's what
up
you're
and
supposed
really
to do in
training
your
in Central
20s.
Park. That's what you're supposed to
I
do,
mean, come
but
on.
New York City, it's such a great place to run,
It
and
is.
I did it all. It was all solo at the time. I didn't have a running community there. A lot of people would jog on and off, but no one was really training for anything. Yeah, I look back on that and I really wish I'd had my act together more. But
Don't
again, this was even pre-Instagram. I feel like now it's so easy to find community. Yeah. What did runners do before Instagram? How did they make friends before Strava? Like, how did they make running friends?
all this stuff is new. Like you think about the last 7 or 8 years, Strava, Garmin's been out around for a while, but all of it's new, right? Like
What's
Instagram, all that
huge?
stuff. So
Well, I
yeah,
had at
not
one point, my dad gave me his old Garmin that he'd used, and it was like the giant brick one. It was like bigger than my hand. It was huge. And I remember I tried it once and it was so annoying to wear. I was like, who wants to do this?
exactly.
Yeah, I think that it was like 10 years before I tried to get a Garmin again. So yeah, I would just race on and off in New York. I did the Brooklyn half. I did the Great Gallop, but I was mostly just running for fun, for exercise. And I would give myself random challenges. Just like one time I remember being like, what if I just ran 2 or 3 times around Central Park just as a loop, like not as part of a race? And again, this is how much of a baby runner I was. I mean, that equates to like, that's basically a half marathon. And I was like, people can just do this. You can just walk out the door on a random day and you can just go run a half marathon for fun, not even in a race setting. All of this was new and exciting to me. So
Oh
yeah, I was
no. I
very,
mean, I love that. You just started running because you loved it. You didn't care about the race necessarily.
yeah, I think that is, and I am not like a big racer now, and I wish I was because I think racing a lot I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I do think racing a lot is its own form of really good training because it's a
100%.
skill to be able to be in a race setting and turn it on when you need to and have to dodge a ton of people even. That's its own skill that you don't get if you're not racing a lot. So I wish I was the type of person who wanted to race more, but I'm just not. I admire those who are.
Something I learned was I've learned this a long time ago, but more specifically, somewhat recent, talking to a bunch of people from the sloths, Matthew Campbell. Yeah, I think he's been on a couple times.
Yeah.
Mentioned doing lots of 5K races over the summer and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought, because a couple of years ago, I would do races because I had a half marathon this last weekend. And I was like, 2 years ago, I did the same half marathon and ran half marathons over the summer. And in Texas, is like running half marathons in the summer is brutal. Like
Not fun.
you can run in 150 or 2 hours and it felt like you're dying. It's usually a slow race, but no. So I was like, I'll never do that again. So I took his thinking and advice. I was like, hey, just run a bunch of 5Ks in the summertime. And then because there's nothing like, and I've always thought this part is there's nothing like racing to get you ready for race day. Because sometimes you start out too fast. You go kill yourself on a 5K. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's 5K, whatever. Half marathon's different. So get used to that and just be ready for that race. And so that's what I did was I ran probably 7 or 8 5Ks or more over the summer. And I did the
Oh,
Wednesday
that's
night
awesome.
5K. It was free. And
Wait, which half did you do last weekend?
I did it was it was the Revel race downhill in
Oh,
Utah, the Cottonwood, but got a PR and I was happy. And I counted. It was 3,000 feet down,
awesome.
but still
It's like people like those, like St. George. That's the only Utah
kind of.
race I know, but
No,
something like that.
that's what everybody, but it's like St. George. It's just a downhill race all the way until like mile 10. And then the last 3 miles is straight. It's not, it feels like uphill, but it's not. But yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
I wish most of the sloths do a summer of speed type of thing, and they'll do the 5Ks and they do the shorter workouts. And this is where, again, like I know intellectually things I should do to get faster, and then I just don't do them because I prefer other things better. I maybe it goes all the way back to my first race being like a half marathon. I like to go longer and slower. There is nothing more terrifying to me than having to like max it out and go as fast as you can. I do not
you
scares
don't like
the
it?
ever living crap out of me. So I just
Really?
don't do it. But yeah, again, like you don't get faster just running your marathon pace for every workout. And again, like something I know intellectually and have been told many times, and I can see it from other people's training and what happens in my training. And then I just don't do it because you could always tell me to go out and run like a 6 mile tempo, and I will do that very happily. But if someone were to tell me like run a few fits, like absolutely not. I want to throw up and vomit everywhere. This is like my worst nightmare. So like
Yeah, I think you're tough.
I'm so bad. Like I won't even do a 5K because I was like 5K is too short. You want me to go how fast? No.
What is your training like? We still have this whole journey to go through, but
Yeah, I'm
what's
sorry. I like
usually?
tangents. I can ramble. I can talk anyone's ear off forever, so I will endeavor not to do that. Yeah, so we were in New York for until 2017, and then my husband and I moved to Texas in June 2017. And I remember moving like immediately. I was like, I don't know anyone here. I'm going to get really into running. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to take it seriously. I have nothing else to do because, again, I don't know anyone.
Yeah. That's how
I
you
was
get to know
working.
people though. I love it.
Yeah, totally. But I decided the first thing I needed to do if I was going to be a real serious runner was sign up for my first ever marathon. So I signed up for
Oh,
the Dallas Marathon because it was there. And at the time, it was really cheap. Back in the day of
yeah. A
2017, it seemed
little bit
wildly
cheaper.
inexpensive.
It's not
No
like that
longer.
anymore. None of
No,
them cost you
none of them
200
are.
plus. And I'm like, geez, even for a half marathon is going to cost you,
Yeah.
$170. And I'm like,
Some of those
geez,
half
come on, it's
marathons are like $200. Like,
crazy.
yeah, it's wild.
So you
And
get to,
I'm trying
okay,
to
good.
remember, as I'm saying this, I'm really trying to remember how I trained for that first Dallas, because I've been on and off with coaching plans. Hal Higdon, Jack Daniels, like I did not know either of those names. I think I maybe Googled a few things, and I did know, I knew this much. I knew you were supposed to run 20 miles a few times. So I would get my 20-mile runs in, and yeah, I still didn't even have a Garmin at that point. I think I was
Wow.
exclusively tracking things on my phone. And sometimes I'll come across an old screenshot of when I screenshotted it for myself. I could probably dig it out somewhere, but it wasn't
Did you
really
put it on
training.
maps or something? Like you just do it on a map or
No,
you
I'm
would
trying
actually
to
do like
remember
Google
what
Maps
the
or
app
something?
was because it wasn't
Oh, okay.
Strava, but it was one of the other run tracker
Mhm.
apps. It was like
Nike
free.
Plus, Nike, whatever.
No, it wasn't Nike. It wasn't like a brand name. This is
Oh, okay.
how basic I was at the time. I was not even Nike Plus.
You
It
didn't even know
was
about the brands.
no, I did not. I didn't get like fast shoes. I think I just ran the marathon and I didn't know there was a difference in shoes. I didn't know you were supposed to wear different kinds of shoes for different
All right.
days.
All right.
No
Let's
clue.
back up. Did you have kids at all in 2017? How old are your kids? You have four of them,
So
by
I
the way,
ran.
that we haven't even talked about yet. So
Yeah, I will. And again, I can
okay,
talk anyone's ear off. I will try to be more succinct on
you're
things. But
fine.
so we got pregnant when I was training for Dallas. So I ran Dallas 3 months pregnant with my oldest.
Wow.
And I ran 3:25.
Wow.
And it was a
That's
friend of
that's
mine
great.
had commented on when I like posted it to social media afterwards. A friend of mine commented, "You qualified for Boston." And I was like, "What?
What's Boston?
What's Boston?" I knew the Boston Marathon was a thing. I went to high school in
Yeah.
Massachusetts. Like
Yeah.
Marathon
Yeah.
Monday was a big deal. I had a lot of friends who went to BC and still lived up there, and that was a thing. But I didn't realize like qualifying for Boston was a thing. No clue.
Yeah.
So after that, that's when I think that's what kicked me off, like doing more research on things. Because when someone starts talking about the Boston qualification process, like you do have to get your research, you have to look into it. So then I ended up running Boston in 2019, April 2019, which unbeknownst to me, a lot of other DFW runners ran Boston that same year. So I took my almost 1-year-old. I had some friends and family come up from New York to watch my kid while I was running. And for that one, I'll vaguely name drop, not that she remembers who I am, but Kelsey Bruce was running some sort of fundraiser for DBU or something where she was like selling like coaching plans or quasi one-on-one coaching. And this would have been, like winter 2019 or something. And I was like, I don't want to be investing too much in this, but this is affordable. This looks really low pressure. I'll sign up with Kelsey. And so she gave me like a program to follow. And that was my first time doing like workouts.
Program.
Because before then I was doing fartleks without realizing they were fartleks. Like I was vaguely remembering some workouts we did cross country season and
Yep.
I would do on and off stuff, but I wasn't going out and running like 1200s or something. So suddenly I had those programmed into my workouts.
So
I
this
had
is
long
after.
before Boston. This is the lead
Okay.
up to Boston. So I had
Got
no
it.
training for Dallas 2017 and then realized I qualified for Boston, registered for 2019 and ran that one.
But you
And
also
I
had a baby like in between.
had a baby in there, casual, had one of
Right.
those. And I do, oh my gosh, this is probably way, but
TMI.
I do distinctly remember when my son was, oh my gosh, 3 or 4 months or something like that. And I was on a 9-mile run. It has been burned in my memory, the PTSD of it. But my husband was watching him and he texted me the most graphic, disgusting picture of Jamie. Sorry, Jamie. I hope you never see this of Jamie's like dirty diaper when he was, and I was just out on my run. Have fun with that. I'll run a few more miles. You got it. You're fine.
Yeah, it's like I was almost done, but now I think I'll run a few more.
Yeah, now I think I'm going to be staying out a little bit longer here.
I'm gonna go
Sorry,
eat some
Jamie.
breakfast. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, and I always have been very lucky. My husband Matt he doesn't run himself, which
Okay.
sometimes I wish he did. Sometimes I'm happy he doesn't because now we don't have to plan around his runs or anything. So that's good for
Exactly.
me. He works out religiously every morning at 6 a.m. He goes to the garage and lifts his weights or whatever it is he does, which I'm always telling him, like, I won't lift weights because I think it's horrifically boring. I think it's the most boring thing ever. And then he's, but you just run around the
Mhm.
same neighborhoods every day for an hour and a half. How is that not boring? I'm like, it's different.
It's
Totally
completely
different.
different. You can be in your thoughts and veg out and still get
Yeah,
exercise.
listen to my
you know?
podcasts, make my little
Yeah.
mental lists, obsess over things. Yeah, so I've always been very lucky in that like he has his exercise routine and he knows that I have mine. So even from the earliest days, there was no juggling when we had kids over, no, I have to like make arrangements with him or like really negotiate. It was no, like if it works out in the baby schedule and my schedule, like I'm going to take this time to run and I will tell you what you have to do, but like I will be gone. And it's worked
And
out great and I'm very lucky.
yeah, it's awesome. He's not a runner, but he understands, and I guess he works out too. That's good. I think it's important. You got 4 kids, which we haven't gone to all that journey yet. It's a lot to deal with, in addition to work and running with your friends now and everything else. And you're running a
Well, I'm
lot.
finding
It's
that
not like you're not running just a few miles here and there. You're running 20 milers, and then you're going to
it's
races.
funny how things ratchet up.
Yeah,
Even with long runs, like 20 is the new 18, is the new 16, is the new 12. Things just ratchet up. And especially if you do find that community and you can realize, oh, going out and running like 2, 3 hours with people is a lot of fun. And you have really fun conversations and really funny conversations and laugh your ass off. It's great.
yeah.
I will say I'm so grateful for the sloths and the runners here. I have been very much on and off in terms of meeting up with people running. I was really good about it. And I don't think this is unrelated at all. I think it is very much related, but my marathon PR came after a cycle where I was religious. I ran with people like
Yeah,
3
of
times a
course.
week. Tuesday track, Thursday, there would be some sort of tempo or fartlek, and then Saturday long run. And I made every single one of those group runs and it was super religious about that. And then I PR'd off that cycle. And I don't think that's unrelated. Like you run with people and everyone gets faster and you all push each other and everyone makes each other better. I've gone through a period over the past few years having my twins where I've been much more of a solo runner. And I've also gotten older over those 3 years that my twins have been alive, where I suddenly need a lot more sleep than I used to. And recovery is a lot more difficult. I used to be able to get 2 hours of sleep and then still meet people for a long run or track or what have you. And I cannot do that anymore. So that doesn't help. But yeah, I think running with other people is so important. Running with people, it's so important, not just for the community element, but just on a basic level. I think training wise, like you don't get faster unless you're pushing yourself. And we're all very, I think all runners are very highly motivated and disciplined people, and I count myself as someone who could motivate myself in a solo workout, but it's just not the same as when you're running with someone and trying to chase people. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
No, I completely, and I think that's very relevant. But let's also go back to the Boston Marathon that we didn't talk about your training and things like that, and then how you did in Boston.
I wish I'd had some sort of watch, and God bless Kelsey. She did her best telling me not to go out too fast, but I wasn't really paying attention to paces, and she was like tracking me. And I remember looking at her messages after, and I saw your first few miles and was like really hoping you weren't going to blow up. And I wouldn't say blew up, but I definitely aggressively positive split that race. But Boston 2019, probably not the run I could have had if I tried to pace myself whatsoever, but I was still super happy with that, super proud of it. That one was a really weird weather-wise day. Other people who ran in 2019 will remember the whole morning it was thunderstorming, and then it became really hot and really humid and muggy. And then right after I finished, it started downpouring again. Like the weather was all over the place. So I thought I was pretty grateful to have had my couple years of Texas running under my belt because it got to I think 70 or almost 70. And I was like, this is nothing. This is fine.
I'm used to this.
Yeah, no problem. As long as it's not lightning or thundering, we're good. Yeah, that was Boston. Boston went great. And then actually, the next marathon I ran was Dallas 2019. I was again 3 months pregnant with my second son. And friends of mine came down from New York for that race because another friend of mine was running the half marathon and she PR'd in that race. So shout out, Lauren. A great job. And I felt so guilty because they were waiting for me and I had my anticipated time. And in my head, I was like, I'm pregnant again. I'm not trying to run super fast. But like the last time I ran Dallas, I was exactly the same amount pregnant and I did fine. So I did not have high expectations for that race, but I didn't expect what happened, which is that I totally blew up. It was like a 4 hour something marathon. I was walking all around
Wait,
the back
okay.
stretch of White Rock.
I'm
It's not pretty.
confused. I'm confused. So all right, in 2019, you did Boston, you ran at 3:19. And then we're talking about which Boston is this?
This is
Another
Dallas.
Boston?
This is the Dallas
Oh, it's
Marathon,
Dallas.
2019. Yeah. So April, I ran marathons in 2019
Oh,
in
wow.
April and in
Okay.
December.
Okay. Okay. My apologies.
No,
I
sorry.
missed that.
I need like a flow chart or something.
And then you ran okay, got it. Then you ran Dallas also in 19. And
Yes.
that's when you were also pregnant.
And I was also pregnant. Yes. So I had run at that point, I ran 2 Dallas marathons and I was pregnant both times.
Wow. Okay.
Not something I would recommend. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Make your own medical decisions with your doctor's advice. But no, it was fine. I just totally blew up. I was like, and again, I hadn't figured out my nutrition. Like for Boston, I had a Luna bar at the start and then nothing throughout the entire race. So nutrition was just not a thing for me in running. So
Especially
again,
with the baby, you got to eat.
I was still nursing when I ran Boston. I was still nursing at the time. And I wasn't fueling myself properly. It was not a pretty scene. So in hindsight, it makes complete and total sense that I get to the Dallas Marathon in 2019 and I blow up that way because like me looking back now, like you're not fueling yourself properly. You're not hydrated or sleep deprived. You have a 1-ish-year-old at home and you're pregnant. No wonder at the time I wasn't thinking any of that because my level of knowledge about training, about nutrition, about the sport, I wouldn't say it's super high now, but at the time it was like subterranean levels of knowing nothing. So don't do what I did, kids. I would not recommend that.
What's funny is like that was your third marathon. It seems like you would have
Mhm.
learned some stuff about nutrition, but
One
you
would
just
think
weren't.
one would be wrong.
You've run pretty good for the most part, except for that last one. And so just think if we're going to get to some good marathons here. And although most of them were pretty good, everybody blows up at some point. That just happens. And it sounds like that happened to you in Dallas in 2019.
Yeah, I remember just walking around White Rock, like contemplating calling my husband to have him pick me up and being like, there's really nowhere good to get picked up right now. So I guess I
Yeah.
should finish. And I was like texting my girlfriends that were at the finish. I'm so sorry you guys came all the way here. I'm going so slow. But they were very nice about it, very patient. Because my poor other friend had just run the half marathon and she'd finished and she was done. So everyone was
Long
waiting
time ago.
around for me for an hour and a half. I'm
It's
sorry.
really not that long when you put it in perspective. It's just a little bit of time. So if they came to see you, good or bad, and it's a marathon. That's just what happens. Sometimes
Shout
good
out
and
Lauren, Allie, and
sometimes.
Claire for coming all the way down here and watching me blow up a marathon. You are all very supportive, and I'm very A very lucky friend. And congrats, Lauren, on your PR, 2019 Dallas.
Jeez.
I'll
Congrats,
skip out.
2019. I don't think I ever
Yeah.
told you.
Shout out
All right. So
2019
then
Dallas.
COVID hits. So what
COVID
happened?
hit. I think what happened with me is what happened with a lot of people. Like everyone was home. Everyone had a lot of time on their hands. And I had my second son. My middle son was born in June 2020. So like the depths of COVID. And I had nothing else to do but run a lot. And I really just wanted to get out of the house. I had two young kids at home and my husband was suddenly home all the time. He was a consultant at the time. So he had been traveling all week, but suddenly he's home too. Everyone's home. And I'm like, great, you're home to watch the kids. Peace. So I started running a lot more. Yeah. So I think a lot of people had similar experiences during COVID where everyone had more time on their hands. Everyone was going stir crazy and people had different comfort levels with going back to the gym, health and safety wise. So running is like the ultimate social distance, safe COVID activity because it's all outside. So yeah, I think I had a pretty typical experience with running that a lot of other people can possibly relate to during the COVID years. And that's really when my running got supercharged because I signed up for, oh my gosh, was it January or February 2021? It was winter 2021. And I signed up for a half marathon at Town Lake in McKinney. And I just remember thinking I'd been trying that race. I really wanted to break, was that the 130 barrier? There was some barrier I was trying to break that race. Yeah, I should have done research on my own races at this point, but I'd been slowly ratcheting down my half PR over this time. I remember I tried a few times to break 130, finally broke 130. Then I was really trying to PR and try to break like 127 became the magic number in my head. So I wanted to break 127. And so I think that Town Lake race was the 127 PR attempt. And it was a winter race. And I don't do great in cold weather. All my other cold weather races, I'd been layered up like the Michelin man. Like I do not enjoy the cold. But I distinctly remember I was like, I'm a serious runner now. I'm going for my PR. I'm trying to break 127. I can't show up in a million layers to a race. I have to look like a hardcore real runner. So I show up in a tank top and shorts. And I thought I was so tough. And then I get out of my car because of course I was like with the butt warmers the whole time. And I got out of my car and I saw who I now know to be Maddie Steer and like up front at the race with Ray and a few other people. And I just remember thinking like, wow, they must be super fast because all of them are like, they're wearing like nothing and it's 30 degrees outside. So they're hardcore.
They are fast.
And they are hardcore and they are really fast. And of course, I didn't know any of them at the time, didn't know who Maddie was. I just remember seeing her and being like, she must be really fast. And she is. So I think I tried to hang with them for the first 2 minutes of that race and then looked down and
Of
realized,
course.
realizing like that they were going like, I think even 5:55. At this point, I had my Garmin finally and I looked down and I saw like a 5:55 or like low sixes. And I was like,
Wow.
okay.
My
I knew enough by now to know that was like, I was going to
way too
die.
fast.
There was no
Yeah.
way. So I let them go ahead and I was like in second and I was just following them. I was trying to keep them in sight. Second female, not second overall, second female
You
because
got
I
it.
was counting. And I
The
was
other
just trying to
Maddie's
keep
number one.
them. Other Maddie, always number one, definitely number one. But in that race is like the origin story of everything with DFW running for me. Like that race, I just have so many fond memories of it because I made what turned out to be like all of my good friends down here, like all of my running friends, everyone I know, everyone who's sustained me over these years as a wonderful community. So just very fond memories to that Town Lake race. So I'm running, I'm the second female. I'm getting tired because again, I can't pace myself. And I remember looking back and seeing this like other blonde ponytail coming up in third female. And I was like, okay, can't let her beat me. But turns out she did. She did because it was one of those COVID staggered starts. So she started after
Uh,
me and she ended up, yeah. So that is how I ended up meeting Maddie and Liz Johnson, who has since moved to Chicago, which we're all very sad about. I know she's living her best life up there, but we all miss her dearly. And I ended up meeting up with Maddie and she told me to join the PRC Facebook group. And I think the Raised Track Club group was existent at that point on Facebook. So I joined both of those groups. I met Liz and Liz and I, we both at the time had two sons who were like exactly the same age. So
that's
we
great.
bonded over that. Yeah. We
Kids can
became
play
friends
and
after that. Kids can
you kids
play.
go play while we go run.
Yeah, totally. Just hang out at the house. You'll be fine.
The
2-year-old
dads are
children.
there.
You're okay. Dads are there. Totally. So after that race, I just started joining those Facebook groups and seeing when they were meeting to run. And I started joining the runs at Plano West when people were still doing that for track Tuesdays. And yeah, it just took off from there in terms of my running because I would see and I just blatantly mooched off of everyone's workouts. I'd find out what other people were doing, be like, great, I'll do that too. Why not? But yeah, that was like the big bang of I'd been running, I'd gotten more serious about it gradually over the years, but that was the moment when I was like, people do this. Like they're having a lot of fun, but they're also serious because they really like to push themselves. And the way you bond with people when everyone's doing hard things together and is, I think, like second to none. And there's nothing better than seeing your friends do really awesome things. So that's when that.
Something that Matt Campbell, I've said this a lot of podcasts, so, and I've quote him on this particular. You tell I like Matt Campbell and respect him a lot because I bring him up a lot, but maybe it's because we're having this about sloths. But he said, look, I'm trying to run a 220 something. Because and if I run a 220 something, a lot of other people are going to run a 220 something. It's kind of like this under 3 hours, 250s, 240s, whatever. You're now running with a group of really fast women, which are really fast already. And just, I can imagine as we go through the rest of this journey is that you get better and better. And some of it's probably because you're doing better workouts, you're doing faster workouts with these people, and you're learning a lot of things, and your body is just getting faster.
I think people have gotten, what is it? Is it the network effect? There's some word for this, but shared knowledge is, I think, a lot more powerful than just whatever you can do on your own. And everybody gets smarter about the kinds of workouts they're doing, or people are getting coaches and suddenly getting really good programs that other people can benefit from. And everyone gets smarter about fueling and shares knowledge and strategies there. So, like, especially, and I'm not trying to sound like conceited or something, but when you get to the level of the people, I'm lucky to run with a lot of people who are like sub elite or they're really fast. And when you get to that level, like you may not necessarily make a super huge jump in your PR. It's about chipping away at things or about getting better on the margins. And when you have other people who are all doing similar things, like everyone can benefit. And it's really cool to see that happening.
I think that one of the things I love about running is that you can get smarter about it, especially some of these longer runs. Again, I'm not a marathon runner. I've heard this by several different people, and I actually did this last week with my half marathon. So it's interesting. And I thought, what people do this. So when you think of the race itself, so you train for the race, you do all of the right things, and then race day, there's a race day strategy. So thinking about, all right, mile 1 and 2, I'm going to do this. 3 through 8, I'm going to do this. 9 through whatever, I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to go do these paces at the end. And if you can do that and you can strategically kind of get better throughout the race or whatever it is that you're trying to do, is execution is key. Race day, have a plan and it's going to work. When you first run it, you're just trying to get through it. It's
Yeah.
like,
You're just trying to
it's a
finish.
marathon.
Just happy to be here.
Yeah, but then I assume when you get under 3 hours or whatever, I'll give you an example. Like when I was running that race last week, I knew because I ran it 2 years ago, but I vividly remembered it for whatever reason. I knew if I can run the first 2 or 3 miles faster because it's a downhill race.
Yeah.
I need to run those 3 miles faster than I did the last 3 miles or the first 3 miles I did the first time. Knowing that at the end of the race, I'm going to slow down because I am hauling ass for 1 through 10. So the first 3 miles, I ran about 20 seconds faster each per mile than I did the first time. And then I
Oh.
knew when I was going downhill, I was going to have to push hard downhill. Although I was going really fast, 2 years ago, I was hitting like 6:15, 6:20s, which was pretty fast. But I was like, what if I can hit faster than that? So I hit 3 6:08s, then 6:15, 6:20s. And I thought, okay, it's great. But I knew the last 3 miles were going to be the hardest and the slowest. And so my strategy was backwards, but it was on purpose because I knew because it hurts. I didn't think you're struggling then and everything else. And my legs are already hurting at mile 5 because I'm going so fast that I've never gone that fast before, but I knew I could because of the momentum that you get for downhills. But I knew. So mile 9 or 10 hits, I slow way down. I'm already hitting 6:30s and then now I'm hitting 7:10s. I knew I was okay.
But you were prepared for it.
I was prepared, but I was also like, I don't know what could happen. And this could actually ruin my race too. But I went for it and did it and stuck with the strategy. But that's when the marathon's a little different because you try the whole marathon. But it's that kind of thinking that you get through it. So I remember me talking about 20 or 19 or whatever it was, I can go way faster. I've got to hit 10 seconds, 20 seconds faster than, holy shit, you can do 10 seconds faster.
Yeah.
That's 6 miles, whatever.
At
That's when
mile
the race
19?
starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to go on that, but I think that's
No.
huge.
Yeah. Because
Have you ever got to
running
that?
is deceptively simple in that what I was saying earlier, it's a large part of what I like about it is so simple, but it's not because you have to have a plan and a strategy. And then you have to practice all those things. Like you can have all the best intentions in the world about your nutrition on the day of, but if you haven't been practicing it in your long runs, it's not going to work out for you. Something that a lesson I continue to learn over and over again. But like you have to come in with a plan and then practice the plan and then execute it on the day of. Sometimes that it's hard to do because a lot of the times that conflicts with what you want to do as part of your normal training. I'm really horrendous at practicing nutrition, and I know that about myself, and I have not made a whole lot of progress on it. So, yeah, you're going to see diminishing returns in your races if you just keep not doing the things you're supposed to do. Yeah, I think running is very deceptively simple, and it becomes a lot about the mental strategies and then about the little things that you can be doing because especially over the course of a marathon, like there's just so many variables and some of them you can control, a lot of them you can't. So you just have to do your best to practice the things you can control so you have a better shot of executing them effectively on the day.
Tell me a little bit more about the best race you've ever had and where was it? What was the time? Because I know it's pretty awesome. Let's talk about that.
I honestly, the is it really stupid just to say my PR race, but the Woodlands Marathon in 20, yeah, was that 2021? Yes, 2021, I think. That was my PR race, and that's the one where I had just run that half where I met Maddie and connected with her, and then she told me that she and a bunch of other people were running the Woodlands. And I remember her being like, it's a really short training block, like it's a short cycle. It's right after the holidays until March, but I think we can pull it off. And I have such fond memories of that cycle because it was so much about this little group of us who were all running together, all doing the same workouts, all meeting for long runs, and then we all ran it together. And yeah, I that was my favorite and then my best race ever because I PR'd, but I think I PR'd and it was wonderful because I had done all of the things right up until that moment. Like you don't just show up on the line and pull a PR out of your ass. Like you got to put in the time and the work. And I remember a few of us all finished around the same time. And it was just like that sense of shared accomplishment and pride in the group for all doing that was just something that I'll take with me and I try to remind myself of. I'll be honest that I've been in a really weird spot in my own personal running for a few years now, like having the twins, being pregnant with the twins and having them. Then my twins are 3 now. And the combo of them being young toddlers and then my oldest 2 being in the school year, like that's a lot of schedule change at once for me. And it's really thrown me for a loop. And I've been in now like a few years of just not feeling like myself. Like I've been lucky in that I haven't been like seriously injured. I'll get little niggles here and there. And then again, like I'm just so much more tired than I used to be all the time. That doesn't help.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be honest that I've been in a really weird place running wise and not that motivated to race, but like seeing a few things keep me going and keep me motivated. That's the word. English is hard. Those things are just watching the community grow and accomplish so many amazing things I'll admit that I have some days where I see what other people are doing and I'll check Strava and I'll have to like forcibly take myself off Strava 'cause I'm like, why can they do those things and I can't? Those are my down moments. And I try to view that as something I have to practice. That's negative self-talk that I have to practice banishing because that doesn't help. It doesn't help my running. It doesn't help in my daily life. It doesn't help my mental health. None of that helps. So I try to flip it and make it something that I can practice. Okay, I'm going to practice taking those negative thoughts and banishing them and turning it into a positive. So just watching the community do and my running friends who I keep qualifying it as like my running friends, but I can just say friends. Like they're just my friends
Yeah.
who
They're
run
your friends.
really fast. Watching my friends do awesome things, that kind of keeps me motivated. And then taking myself back to that day, which is now, oh my gosh, 4.5 years ago, which is terrifying. More than 4.5 years ago. Wow. Time passing. Crazy. Taking myself back to that day and knowing that if you put in the work and you're running with people, you're following the program, like it will pay off. And you may not see those results right away, but it will. So
So
yeah, I just try
before
to
I got a couple
remember those
questions,
things.
but before, what was your PR back at Woodlands?
That was like 250 high. So that was like magical day. I truly don't know how I pulled that off. Actually, no, I do know how I pulled that off. And I'm going to say thank you so much, Farrell, because Farrell, I was running with him until late in the second half. And it was a like little mini pack of Farrell was there, Juan, who runs in Fort Worth, ended up linking up with Kieran and then Maddie toward the end. But there was a little pack of us who all came down. And I just remember the whole first half, like Farrell was just a metronome. Like he would shout out the paces. His coach self was coming out even in those early days. And we were just clicking off the miles together. And yeah, I would say that I have no idea how I pulled it off, but I know exactly how I pulled it off. Like I had amazing people to run with, not just on the
Community.
day, but the community, the whole training cycle.
Love
And I,
that you said
yeah. Sorry, go
was
ahead.
oh, something you said earlier was when I was running, there was this magical moment where I get to run with these people, I get to hang out with them, train with them, and then we all went to race together. And it was a magical day. Just that whole block season ish was this magical thing. It's hard to find that again, right? Not
It
the
is.
people.
Yeah.
You still have the people.
And
Pick their
again,
day
it
up, they
wasn't
do their things. You go do your
I don't
things.
want to oversell it. I know it was not magical for
But
everyone. Everyone has their own experience, but it was
yeah,
my training day. And I do think I haven't taken a similar leap because my marathon progression until then, it was like 325, 319, 250. Wild stuff,
pretty
insanity.
awesome.
I mean, bananas. Like it shouldn't have been possible. And I think it didn't always serve me
I don't know.
because,
It was possible though, because if you think about how you trained, not properly at first ish, right?
yeah,
You just did your own thing
no,
and you
totally.
have a lot of ability. The ability that you have is off the charts. Like you can already tell just you
Well,
ran like a 325, your first marathon is ridiculous. And then a
and I
three,
think I hope a
whatever.
lot of people can relate to like you finally put some training pieces together
Yeah.
and you have that breakthrough. Like it could
Yeah.
be a marathon, it could be a 5K, it could be people we set goals for ourselves and then when you achieve them, you take that leap. I think that is its own mental hurdle after that because you might start expecting that's going to happen every time and then if you race and you don't PR, it's hard to overcome feeling like that was a disappointment.
Yes.
And I will be honest in that, like, I really struggle with that also. And I haven't had a similar leap like that. And I think a lot of it is because, like, I haven't been doing the things that, like, I know will serve me better. And some of that I can chalk up to just life circumstances. My life looks a lot different now than it did 4 years ago. And so that's not out of my control because I made all these choices. Some of it is circumstantial. And then some of it is just if you want to make those leaps and achieve those things, like there are tried and true things that anyone can do, no matter what pace you run. Find a group to run with, follow a program, make sure you're carving out time to recover. Like all of those things are just building blocks that maybe you can skip it for a race cycle or two and see some results. But like eventually, as I have learned the hard way many times, like it will catch up to you. Yeah. Just can't skip
Sometimes
the
though,
basics.
Madeline, is that life is life. You had two kids, twins. You had twins right after that, right? Or however long after that. So your life can change. Your life changed completely. Your body probably changed. You had two kids at one time. And from my understanding and talking to the other Maddie and some other women that go through, whether it's postpartum or just life changes, or there's things that maybe things that you went through that others don't go through, or whatever, mentally and physically and everything else. I'm not saying that to give excuses. That is the reality, is that things like that happen. And yes, I love that you're pushing yourself. No, let's be more positive here. And I think that is exactly what it takes, is those kinds of thinking and getting yourself back out there. But my wife used to say this all the time: be kind to yourself. And if you're not kind to yourself, then what do you got? I think that we're just human and we don't do this for a living. Running is great. There's been some great blocks and times and community building friendships, and you still have those friendships and everything else. So I'm proud of you. I think, what you've
Well, thank
accomplished is
you.
great.
Thank
So
you. I didn't know this was going to turn into a therapy session, but I'm going to hold on to that the whole rest of the day. Made my day.
no, I think it's true.
I'm kidding.
We all get like that. No, it's good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what's next. What are you thinking? Obviously, all this stuff's kind of come up. What's next for you? What are you hoping for?
I am trying to get back into racing more. Because I'm a head case in that if I put too much pressure on myself, like I will psych myself out. But on the other hand, like I know you only get better at racing by doing it, by practicing those things, by getting into a routine with it and making the race effort less scary. So I'm trying to figure out what will be next on the calendar. But in the meantime, I do want to jump into more of some shorter distances because I think I said this like way earlier in the conversation, but my happy place is like a marathon effort, marathon paced workout. Like I'm really not good at making myself run faster than that. So I need to force myself to jump into some 5Ks or do a 10K and even just make it part of a long run day and do a race and make that like part of a block in your long run. Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, alluded to before, I'm coming out of a weird space with my own personal running. Hopefully there will be some exciting things to come. Maybe. I know. I feel like I didn't have a great answer to that because right now it has been a
That's
challenging
the
time
answer.
where I was like, yeah, I felt like for a long time I was like running into a brick wall and like trying really hard but not seeing the results that I wanted to see. And then I had a realization where it's like it is the true definition of insanity to keep doing all these things that I know aren't serving me and then expect to see awesome results. So I think I'm like very slowly turning some sort of mental corner and rediscovering my like motivation to race and achieve things again. I've been saying or joking for a while that I felt like I could retire. Like we said, no, we don't have to be doing this. No one's making us doing this. So I kept being like, you know what? Maybe I had my PR back in 2021 and I'm done. I should make myself not caring, stop caring. But I came out of that because I do care a lot. We all care a lot. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's not helpful to pretend you don't care.
I think that's fine. To me, that's what pushes us to get back out there and run is that mental state. But at the same
Yeah.
time, to me, I've got to the point to where, yeah, I still want to PR. At 50 years old, I'm still PRing the half marathon, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, that's
I've run a
awesome.
lot of half marathons.
Yeah.
And so, one, there's hope. But two is that maybe there's a cycle or two that you just go through and say, hey, look, I just want to get out there and do a marathon or do a half marathon or do a 5K, whatever the time is, do the best I can, whatever that is. Not to say you shouldn't push yourself, but shouldn't compare it necessarily to where you were. But then maybe a year from now, you say, okay, I've done this and this. I want to go for this. You know what I mean? I think you
Yeah.
just got to break it down. And that's what I would do because you're not going to be the same self just in one training cycle. You're just not. Let's be realistic. So what
Yeah.
can I be? Let's run a 325 or some, I don't know, whatever it is, or let's run a 130 or 135 half, or okay, that was good. And maybe do a little better or whatever. And then just be kind to yourself and just be realistic. And
Stacking the
that's how
bricks
you
or
get
whatever the
there.
phrase is. Yeah.
That's how
No,
embrace it.
exactly. I
You've got
think
it. You just got to get there.
I do think the way running, because there is the running boom right now and everyone's running and run clubs are big. And I think it's very easy to get really caught up in the hoopla around races and expecting every race to be like the be all and end all. You can
But
just
there's
race
like
and have it
thousands of
be.
races you can go tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah.
One, it's okay. Don't hit it this one, you get the next one.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
There's
the way I
always
see
another
it.
one.
Yeah, look, I feel like the more times that I've said, I want to go do this time, and I never hit that time. And the more times I've screwed, whatever I get, I actually can PR because I'm a little bit less nervous. I'm a little laid back, and I'm just mile 3. I start, you know what? I feel good. I'm going to be aggressive and see what I can do. I don't even care. But once we put that pressure on ourselves, it's a little harder sometimes because then we have these unrealistic expectations. Anyways, I don't know. I'm proud of you. Like, I think you're doing awesome. All right. Thanks for I'm Chris Detzel. Maddie, thanks so much for coming on. So make sure you subscribe to DFW Running Talk. We'll see you soon.